We put it together and available where all your best podcasts are found. Simon Doull joins us, and tell me, Doully, that it's an Indian summer, that weather in London is beautiful and gorgeous for the cricket.
It has been magnificent so far, Marty. Cannot complain. Every day since I've been here. Cool in the morning, and then, 21, 22, 23 in the afternoons. Beautiful cricket and golfing weather, which you'll be pleased to hear, I'm sure.
Oh, absolutely lovely. Nothing quite like it, is there? London can get a little smelly and a little stinky on the tube and so forth during the summer, but if you find somewhere nice outdoors, beautiful.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. I'm right on the river out in Brentford, the sixth best team in the English Premier League.
Yes.
And I am loving life, mate. I think I don't know whether I need to go down the road and buy a new uniform and maybe start supporting another team. They've been cracking, haven't they? What a season.
What a season, I know, mate. All right. Well, I mean, we're satisfied at the end of the season. You're still satisfied because of the 7-0. You're doing the T20 at the moment. Did you know, mate, it's coming up, actually, to the anniversary of when this first started, which was in the early 2000s, and it was actually county cricket where it all first started, the very first official T20 matches.
Yeah, look, we used to play T20 cricket in the leagues, Marty. So I remember when I first came over to England in 88, 89, up to Yorkshire and parts of St Lawrence, we would play this thing called the Sun-Kissed Wednesday Night Evening League. And it was always just a 20-20 fixture. So it was around in the league cricket for a long time before it became anywhere near the county scene and then the international scene. How can we ever forget? I mean, Martin Crowe, we both loved him dearly. He was a great mate of mine and one of New Zealand's greatest ever players. What a revolutionary sort of a thing he came up with, even with that max cricket. He was before his time. I know some of it was a little quirky, but at the end of the day, he knew or had a vision of where he thought cricket would head for just more entertainment along the way. So I think credit has to be given to Marty for the way he went about thinking about the game. And he tried something a little bit different. Didn't quite work, but maybe in some little way it was the precursor to what we see now.
Oh, totally, mate. Absolutely agree. And look, and I also loved the max zone because any time that you can actually teach a player to hit it straight, I mean, that's the best shot. I mean, I love a cover drive, obviously, but that straight drive is gorgeous to watch.
Yeah, absolutely. And also, you were never out of the game. And I think what he wanted was 2 innings and 10 overs a side or whatever, and just he didn't want sides to be out of the game. He wanted the fact that you could hit 3 12s in an over and all of a sudden you were back in amongst it and back in the mixer. So, that was the whole premise around it. And I think in some way, shape or form, he might have missed the boat a touch, but he got so many things right for the future of what we see now.
Well, next Tuesday, the 13th, is actually the official 20th anniversary of the birth of T20 English county cricket. We're going to get on to PGA and Live shortly, and both of us have been through, a divorce, or in your case, 3 or 4, Doully, and we know that, relationships are hard to repair, and these two getting back in bed together, yesterday, gobsmacking. To start with, though, the World Test Championship. So, India win the toss in a World Test Championship, and they decide to bowl. Australia had put them to the sword, 327 for 3 off 85 overs. It's a damn good start for them. Okay, I know pitch conditions. You're trying to figure all of this out, but you want to go for the win. Wouldn't you bat first?
I would have thought so. Batting captains tend to want to bowl first, though. They don't want to put themselves, particularly opening batting captains. It was a bit gloomy this morning, I've got to say, around London. The sun didn't start sort of coming out till around about midday, just after, and then it burned off all the cloud, and it was a lovely, pleasant day, as I said earlier. But look, they bowled hour and a half. But jeepers, Travis Head's innings has been the innings of the day by a stretch. Steve Smith has looked very circumspect, very watchful, very almost un-Steve Smith-like. Normally he does actually go on the attack a little bit, but he's left that all up to Travis Head, and it appears that all he is doing in this test match is getting himself set and ready to go to just destroy English hearts and bat for hour upon hour upon hour and bore them to death. And that's kind of what I got from Steve Smith, his performance today. But, yeah, bat first, I think 9 times out of 10, particularly in these types of conditions in England and India, have probably missed a trick. They're at the point now where they are going to have to bat incredibly well to get themselves back into the game. And they made a horrendous selection blunder, Marty, in my opinion. And, you know, they've done it time and time again, coming to England or even going to Australia, where they feel like they have to pick that extra seam bowler. Just pick your best 5 bowlers, and I'll say it until I die. I'll say it till the bloody cows come home. In a test match situation, pick your best 5 bowlers and just run with it. Now, how Ravichandran Ashwin is not in India's best 5 bowlers, I just do not understand. Look, I know the records are different from home to away, but he is 10 times the bowler that Umesh Yadav is, and they made a monumental error not picking him.
Simon Doull is with us, calling cricket all over the world. Dear old mate, and joins us every single week here on the platform. I just want to run some figures by you, and it just reinforces everything you've absolutely said. Travis Head not out 146 off 156. Contrast that with Steve Smith, 95 off 227. So he did play exactly that. He played that watchman's role. And Travis Head with a strike rate of 93.59, 22 fours and 1 6. I mean, that just absolutely rips it, doesn't it? If you're the bowlers, how do you come back from that? 327. I mean, they're going to go on possibly 500 here, and then you've got to bat at least that again and try and bowl them out. I mean, Australia are just absolutely on his first day, but also in a hell of a position. And say it out loud, Douley, they're going to be the World Test champions, mate.
Yeah, going to be the World Test champions unless someone gets a double 100. Look, Shubman Gill, magnificent form. Virat's in good form. He showed that through the IPL. So they've got the players. They can certainly do it, but it is not going to be easy at all. Travis Head now, I mean, look, you know, you think probably 2 or 3 years ago you thought, good player, but is he really in that sort of echelon of top Australian players through the middle order? He's now got 6 Test hundreds. He's averaging a tick under 50, around about the 48 mark, I think it is now, in Test match cricket. So, look, he's transformed himself into a very, very good Test match player, and he just looks like he belongs, 100% belongs. He's been aggressive. Every opportunity he got today to put a bad ball away, he did it. And, he really has shown me and probably a lot of people something that I wasn't sure he had. He just looks like a really good player, and he's going to be a test for England through that Ashes series as well.
Speaking of which, so no Jack Leach. I mean, so what, the call's gone out, isn't it? Anyone here can spin a ball for England? Go, hello, is there anyone here that can spin a ball?
Yeah. Moeen Ali, goodness me. He hasn't played a test match for over 2 years, but retired from test match cricket, didn't want to play test match cricket, hasn't played a red ball game for over 2 years, had no interest whatsoever, but now that it looks like it's fun and all rosy and all good to play in the England team, he wants to come back and play again. I mean, please. You either want to play for your country or you don't want to play for your country. Love Mo to bits. Great fella. Really good, talented white ball cricketer. Is he the right option? Oh, time will tell. He may go out and he may take wickets, he may score runs, he might prove us all wrong, but it's a really bizarre decision to come to that point.
Douley, Test cricket, I mean, London, you're talking about a beautiful summer in England, 7 tests, the one against Ireland, which they won comfortably, 5 Ashes tests, and of course this World Test Championship. Contrast that with New Zealand. I think we get 4 this summer and then 3 next summer. So when I had an argument last year on air with David White, CEO of New Zealand Cricket, now departing, who told me that we play 10 Test matches a year against all the best countries in the world. And I remember thinking, hang on a second, what planet was that on? Because I kind of missed it on planet Earth. It's a real shame, isn't it? As England basks in it, we've spoken about this before, we're getting less and less of it.
Yeah, we are, Marty. And look, the danger is in whether it's 3, 4, 5 years, whether it's 10 years, there's going to be less countries playing Test cricket. I think it will have significance to certain countries and to certain tournaments. You know, the Ashes will still have significance. The Border Gavaskar will still have significance. I hope the Chapel Hadley sort of, you know, their rivalry, that Test match rivalry between New Zealand and Australia still exists. I hope New Zealand tours to England still exist. But it is a very, very expensive part of the game. Test match cricket is incredibly expensive to run. It makes no money from a New Zealand point of view unless India or England maybe are touring. The only countries where it makes money, England always, sometimes in Australia if it's an Ashes tour, but even India don't make money out of Test match cricket anymore because people just don't go along and watch it. So England are kind of keeping the Test match game alive as far as crowds are concerned. New Zealand do to an extent when good teams turn up. I get that, but even getting 9,000 at Hagley, even getting 7,000 at the Mount, 6,000 at Hamilton, it doesn't make a lot of money, and that's the bottom line. And I guess when you're looking at a business, you kind of have to look at that. But when do we say the other games must subsidise that a little bit? And that's kind of what's happening. It's what's going to have to continue to happen as far as New Zealand cricket are concerned, I think, in years to come, if we want to be part of this Test match game that might only feature 6 or 7 countries in a few years' time.
All right, then. Well, I'll add to that argument. If that's the case, well, then you've just presented a really good argument as to why they shouldn't fund women's cricket, because that doesn't make any money at all either. So, I mean, yeah, but they're prepared to put money into that. I mean, so here's your compromise, isn't it? I mean, you can't say, hey, we're going to fund women's cricket, which is great, which is actually about bloody time. You can't say, well, we're not going to fund Test cricket because that argument doesn't wash.
Absolutely, and that is the key. So if you say you're going to fund women's cricket, and it doesn't make, and we know it doesn't make any money. It costs New Zealand cricket a fortune to run the women's game. But the bottom line is, it needs to be done.
Yeah.
But when you're paying to do these things, you need results, but you also want accountability. So there has to be accountability. And New Zealand men's Test side has been very, very good, and so therefore they deserve money. And it also gives an opportunity. You think about BJ Watling, you think about Neil Wagner, you think about the people that haven't played a lot of white ball cricket at all for New Zealand. How would they have ever had a career out of just playing Test match cricket if New Zealand cricket hadn't funded it properly and hadn't paid them properly to do it? We would have missed out on guys like that. And not everybody can go out there and crash the ball over the boundary and play white ball cricket only. So,
all right.
Look, I want it to continue. I'm desperate for it to continue because of the game. But I just hope it sort of continues in the right path and in the right way, shape and form.
All right, then, let's finish on the PGA and Liv. Your reaction to this yesterday, you're a very keen golfer, and I know that you've been watching this story and following it with much interest. Then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, as much of a surprise was the decision, as much as also they managed to keep it secret. What the hell?
Exactly. I mean, look, I didn't know, and I don't think anybody really knew what Liv's end game was when they started that thing to get in bed with the PGA. Did they want to just take it to a point where, the PGA had to come crawling? Now, if you go right back to the start of it, Jay Monahan sit down. He basically didn't turn up to a meeting that was arranged with the head of Liv Golf and the Saudi corporation. He refused to sit down. And from that moment on, that is so disrespectful in that part of the world. Disrespectful in any part of the world, but in that part of the world more so than any. And so there was an enormous lack of respect for Jay Monahan. And I think that was a real outlier to say, we are going to take you down. We are going, some way, shape or form, we're going to make you hurt. And I think they have hurt them to the point where they now have to jump in bed with them and be a part of it. And for me, Marty, is some of these players. I mean, that's going to be the key for me. Some of these players that are going to now have to sit alongside others, and Rory McIlroy has been very, very outspoken. Boy, he's going to have to swallow some humble pie, I'll give you the tip.